Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Real Estate Show. Today, we have a special guest, one of our coworkers, LeMond. Eric, you mind introducing our guest?
So, everybody, this is LeMond. He's been with our company for, what is it, coming up on 5 years now? And so he started out in service and is now one of our best salesmen here at Beaver Coach Sales.
Definitely top five.
Definitely easy top five. There's only 5 of us.
No, that's
So strap yourselves in, folks. This is going to be a wild ride.
You know, the first thing that really breaks the ice when we start a conversation, you know, when I'm meeting someone new, at some point I'll mention that, hey, I used to work in service, where my background's in service. And I think that kind of puts them a little bit at ease because they go, oh, okay, this guy's just not a sales guy, because everybody's got their, you know, misconceptions of a sales guy. You know, they're scared of us usually, like, oh no, I don't have to talk to that guy. We just want to look. You know. And so that, I think that immediately puts their mind at ease. And a lot of times it's like, oh man, that's awesome, I got some questions for you. And they start firing. And all of a sudden they're interviewing me, you know.
Welcome to the Real Estate Show, brought to you by the top 50 dealer Beaver Coach Sales with your hosts, Ryan Kelly
and Eric Shaver. If you're here to learn about all things RV, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we sit down with people who build, buy, and sell RVs to bring you an in-depth look at the RV lifestyle.
So, Rod, thank you very much for joining. I know we've been trying to get you on for a little while now. I think what's unique about having Rod on this show is you've been able to hear from Salesman. You've been able to hear from Sean, our service manager, on that service piece. Rod's a great hybrid of the two. So having so much service experience in the past, transitioning into sales, it's a nice combination for him. And I know it's really helped him out, and his clients really appreciate that as well, that technical knowledge and support. So let's just dive right into it, Rod. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background before getting into the RV industry and what it looked like getting into it.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. So, anyways, getting into this business, it was a weird time. Probably most people would say worst time to get into it. It was 2009. We're right in the middle of the last recession. You know, the economy's doing really bad. And I don't even know if they were manufacturing motorhomes by that point. They definitely weren't selling new ones. I didn't see anybody buying a new motorhome in 2009. Most people lost their homes and everything else. And so I'd come from a motorsports industry background, and I had a family member, an uncle, who had a very successful RV repair shop in the Bay Area. And he was like, hey, come work for me, you know. He goes, you're down in Southern California, and he's up in the Bay Area, and I didn't really have any immediate family down there anymore. And he's like, you know, come on up here, and, you know, I need a right-hand guy and teach you everything. So that's how I got my start. So I went up there and just got thrown into it right away. My first job actually was quality control inspector. So basically my uncle said, hey, look, everything we touch and work on here, when we're done, before the customer comes and picks it up, you're going to go through it, make sure we did fix everything, make sure we didn't leave a tool laying on the ground or grease on a seat or something, and just go through it. So it was a good way to learn, because, you know, basically I'm going through and I'm testing all the systems and I'm checking everything. And you know, when I had a question, I could go to him. Between him and his right-hand guy at the time, shop foreman, I guess, there's like 60 years of RV experience. So so that first 6 months, it was just like a crash course, you know, learning how these things work and operate, and it was all new. So loved it, loved the challenge. You know, it was a lot of fun. And so then that just kind of progressed, and, you know, we were a good sized shop, about 4 acres, 10,000 square foot building, about 15 technicians. But there's 4 of us in the office, so you're wearing a lot of hats. It's not like here where we have a lot of people. So I was ordering parts, I was a service writer, I was a quality control inspector, you know, kind of doing it all, you know. And so I got to learn a lot of different, you know, sides of it, and business was good. I mean, even then we were busy. You know, like I said, nobody was buying anything new. You know, we weren't seeing nothing new come in. I mean, those first couple years, 2010, 2011, and then all of a sudden, you know, a trickle in like, whoa, there's a new travel trailer, or and then finally you see a new motorhome. You're like, wow, you know, things are starting to change. And I think at that time the economy turned around faster in the Bay Area than anywhere else. You know, you had all the tech companies right there. The real estate was already back on the rise. I mean, things were recovering quick, you know, and I think just because there was a lot of opportunity there. But it was fun, you know. Learned a lot. Like I said, you know, the challenge, it was all kind of new to me, and I just grabbed it, embraced it. You know, and you're working for family. So, you know, you feel like I got something to prove. I want them to appreciate that I'm here, and it's not just because I'm the nephew and that's why I got a job.
Right.
You know, it's like, no, I want to, you know, make some changes, help out, contribute as much as I can, and you know, see where we can improve.
And how many years were you there?
6, almost 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great amount of time. So
Yeah.
And did you guys work with other or with dealers, or was it just strictly like off the street, just only repair for customers, or how'd you work with that?
You know, actually we did. We were kind of like the official, unofficial service center for a local dealer. And this kind of goes back to the whole dealer thing and how, you know, here at Beaver, we're so different. They didn't really have a service department. They had, you know, a big dealer lot. They were selling stuff, but they had just like a PDI crew, I guess, maybe. So we did like all the warranty for, they were at the time selling Heartland travel towables. And so we did all of their warranty work. So pretty much every Heartland they sold came through our shop, and we did warranty work on it. So yeah, so we were working with them, and we were doing warranty work for other manufacturers too. Basically, you know, a customer could call, you know, Tiffin, or they could call, you know, whoever and say, hey, you know, we want to take it to these guys because, you know, the dealer I bought it from, I'm not going back there. You know, they, you know, can't seem to help me. And, you know, so I was working with Tiffin. We were working with pretty much every manufacturer. I think only Winnebago was the only one that wouldn't let us do warranty work. And that was just because there was a local Winnebago dealer. And they really want them to do it if possible. So,
Right.
that's good. Now, did that technical passion you have, did that start when you hopped into the RVs, or was that before?
you know, that started a long time ago. I probably since I was like a kid, you know, loved anything with a motor, you know, cars, motorcycles, boats, you know, grew up around all that stuff. You know, first job out of high school was working with cars, you know, working in a shop. I started building engines, etc. So, you know, just, yeah, I think that's just kind of always been there. And, you know, and along with that, you know, it was a retail environment. So customer service, sales, all that was just kind of all happening all at the same time. So throughout all those years prior to my RV experience.
Yeah. And of course, we already knew that with Rod being our coworker. But
Yeah.
just trying to help you guys get
Yeah,
an idea
definitely.
really who Rod is.
Definitely.
But Rod, that transition then going into the RV, you had the technical with the just kind of being a gearhead, like me. We talked about us just gearheads.
Yeah.
We like to talk
Cars and
shop.
sports.
Cars.
Sports. You know, it's my thing.
Anything technical.
Yeah.
Anything technical.
Very much
Anything more than on and off, you know, I call Rod. So going into the RV industry, that whole crash course, this isn't just an engine. This is, you have plumbing and electric and a bathroom and a kitchen and you know, all these different components to it. What about that was challenging, and what about that was really familiar from what you came through in the past?
So the chassis part was familiar, you know, because it's a vehicle, you know, brakes and a driveline and engine and transmission, you know, etc., all that. But yeah, the systems inside the RV, the more of the house type systems, that was definitely a challenge because I had no idea how the water heater worked, how the furnace worked. And I don't mean just turn it on and yeah, it blows out heat. I mean like, okay, how do you troubleshoot it? Hey, my furnace comes on and then shuts right off. You know, what's going on? So what are the steps? Same with the refrigerator. So pretty much all those RV type appliances, you know, not the stuff that you would find in your house. That was definitely all new. And that's where I learned a lot. And I would go and to the guys, or I'd go to my uncle, or go to one of the techs, and it's like, hey, walk me through this thing. What's the first thing we're going to look at when it's not working? And so that part was definitely challenging for sure. We did a little bit of everything there. We did some chassis work. We didn't like tear apart an engine, kind of like here.
Yeah.
We don't tear apart a transmission. We didn't tear apart an engine, but we could do, chassis work. We do brakes, all your services. We had a body shop. Collision repair is huge in this industry.
Yeah.
My uncle used to joke around. He said, there's people that own these RVs. They only use them a couple times a year, and they usually bump into something when they take them out. So,
Yeah.
RV body shops stay busy.
yeah. So you saw that a lot, especially with the older RVs when they had the full slide where the storage was built into the slide, and the guy's pushing his slide out and didn't see the big rock sitting right there, and stuff like that. But
So you moved from California, from the Bay Area, when you came up to Bend. What did that transition look like from what you were doing to moving up here? Like, how'd you find Beaver, and what did that transition from that business to this business look like?
So we're living in the Bay Area, and it was great. Compared to living in LA, I grew up in LA area, Orange County, and the Bay Area has half as many people, and you could tell, it's still crowded, don't get me wrong. But, it definitely was nice and refreshing. We really liked living there, loved going up to San Francisco and the beaches and everything. But, it's expensive to live there. And at the time it was, and it probably still is, one of the most expensive places to live. And I had a good neighbor and friend, literally next door neighbor, one day tell us, hey, we're going to move. And we were like, what? What do you mean you're moving? We're like all friends now. We've kind of developed this relationship. You can't move.
Can't leave.
Yeah, where are you going?
How hard it is for me to make friends.
Yeah, this guy, he had a bar set up in his garage and everything. Made his own beer. It's like it's
That's
perfect.
awesome. That's the best neighbor ever.
Yeah, didn't have to go anywhere, drive anywhere.
Yeah.
So he says, yeah, we're moving up to Bend, Oregon, and I was like, Bend, Oregon. Never heard of it.
You're like two one-syllable names. No, wait. One-syllable name or Bend. Come on.
Listen, cars, sports, and words.
Grammar.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So Bend, Oregon.
So I'm like, where's Bend? He's looking on the map. It's in the middle of the state. And, like most people, when you're not that familiar probably with Oregon, all you think of is the I-5 corridor, the coast.
Rain.
I've been up through there before, lots of rain, etc. So anyways, he starts telling me about Bend, and I'm like, wow, I'm looking it up on the internet and looking at pictures. I'm like, wow, this place looks really cool. And so anyways, they made the move, and it was shortly after that we came up to visit. It was summer of 2015. I think it was in August. So we had planned a trip with at the time we had a travel trailer. So we planned a trip. We came up here, and it was, there was forest fires going on. Not too uncommon, I guess. I didn't know that at the time, but so the view wasn't, I didn't have that aha moment, because you couldn't really see the mountains or anything. It was just kind of smoky everywhere, but still we were like, it's pretty cool. So I started driving around and just checking things out, my wife and I saw these, RV dealers here. And I thought, wow, there's a pretty good concentration of RV shops and even, repair shops here in town. So I was like,
And within like 2 miles.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was like, wow, that's a good sign. I'm thinking I could get a job here. I'm sure I could get a job here, So anyways, I knew about Beaver a little bit from calling on parts. I had some customers down in the Bay Area that had Beaver motorhomes. There was a handful of regulars. So I'd called here a couple times to get specialty parts or something. So I kind of knew about it, but that was about the extent of it. So one day our trip got extended a little. We were going to go down to Crater Lake, but with the fires going on, we thought, why are we going to go sit down there in the smoke? We might as well just stay here a few extra 3 or 4 more days. So that gave me the opportunity one day to go drive around and really just, hey, we're just going to go do this today and go to all these dealerships and check them out. Just get a feel for it. And I wasn't trying to talk to anybody or anything. It was just like, hey, let's just go there, walk in like a customer. Let's just walk around and see what it's about. So I ended up here, and I walked in, and it's impressive. You pull up and it's like, oh, there's some nice big coaches here and stuff. And we came inside. I'm wearing flip-flop shorts. I had a little bit longer hair than ball cap.
California
I looked like total California guy. And we're just kind of walked in the showroom. This guy walks up and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Can I help you guys?" And it's like, "Yeah, we're just here visiting and just kind of looking around." And I mentioned that, hey, I work in the RV industry. And we're just kind of checking things out. I live down in the Bay Area, and I don't know, we may think about relocating or something like that. And he was like, "Hey, you got a few minutes? Come with me." We're like, "Okay." Again, not knowing who this guy is, just he's someone that works here, right? So he gives us the full tour. I mean, it was really impressive. It took us through the shop, took us all over, probably, spent 15, 20 minutes with us. And I'm like, he doesn't know us from Adam, and I don't think we look like a typical RV buyer walking in the door, And when it was all said and done, he says, "Good help's hard to find. Keep in touch. Here's my card," right? And he hands me his card, and I'm like, "Oh, it's Ty Kelly." And I don't know if it said he was the owner on the card or something, but I pretty much figured it out really quick. He probably told me, "Hey, I'm the owner." And it was like, wow. So we left out of here, and that left a big impression. My wife was like, "Wow, that was really cool." And, he's a super nice guy. And, and we're just thinking, he doesn't know me from Adam, So that left a big impression. And right then I was like, yeah, this is where I want to work. Pretty sure.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So got home, started figuring it out, and my wife was like, let's go. I'm ready now.
Sell everything.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's going to take some time. So, and we had just leased out a house that we were renting out down in Southern California. They just signed a year lease. So I'm like, hey, I'm not going to do that to those people and try to cut that short and try to rush this whole thing. Just that doesn't do well when you try to rush. So. So we had a year to plan and get it all together and everything. And then I just stayed in touch with Ty periodically. I'd drop an email, he'd email me back. And as things got closer, I actually made time to come up ahead of time and actually schedule interviews. And, I'm going to check everything out, just in case. So I had like 8 interviews scheduled when I came up in like April of 2016. And when I got here, I was here for like 3 or 4 days, so I could spread it out. And when I got here, I got to sit down with Ty and Sean. And after that meeting, it was like, okay, I'm in. Where do I sign, basically? So I ran down to, Cardinal at that time because they were doing, all of our hiring. And I did everything I needed to do to get that going before I went home. I'm like, hey, I want to get this going and everything. So
did you do the other interviews too?
I did. I went and interviewed with all the dealers in town, and because of my motorsports background, I went to the Harley dealer as well.
Sure.
And I went to Pro Caliber, the multi-line motorcycle dealer as well, and just really was checking everything out. I really wanted to make sure, hey, let's make the right decision. It's a big deal. It's a big move. We're moving out of California, moving up here. So unfamiliar. It's going to be all new. So
Yeah.
That's really cool. And an honor too, because all those shops that Rod mentioned are like 3 miles from us. They're all right here in a small area. And yeah, you had some options with your skill set of where you wanted to work. So
yeah,
that's great. Now, jumping on at Beaver, where did you start off? You want to tell them a little bit about that, and then what did that transition going from service to sales look like?
Yeah, so basically, I got hired on as a service writer, service advisor, which was perfect because that's what I basically had been doing. And so I was working in the back with Sean and a couple other people at the desk, and at that time Ken Carpenter, and that was a great experience. I learned a ton from Ken really quick because I'm familiar with RVs, familiar with motorhomes, but beavers. There's some things about beavers that are a little bit different, and so I wanted to learn as much as I could from Ken, and he was the source, and I was helping him. I was fielding phone calls because the phones would ring constantly for him, and he would get a stack of messages, every day. So I was trying to help field those calls and take as many of them as I could, and I think for the most part I could do it, because it was a lot of times it was basic questions, and I could walk him through something, and then if I was stumped or I couldn't answer the question, then I'd go to Ken. So that's how I'm learning too. So between him and learning from Sean, and so I'm back there for like 8 months. Everything's great. We moved to Bend. We were able to buy a house and do all this stuff. And get settled in. and my wife was able to get work quickly and get that up and going. So one day I'm talking to your mom, Jody, because she was across the hall, and we would have conversations here and there just because we're working in the vicinity of each other. And I don't know how it got brought up or whatever. She mentioned something about, possibly we're looking for another salesman. And my eye kind of lit up, and I looked at her, and she looked at me like, "Why, are you interested?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And she goes, "Well, then, you should go talk to the sales manager." So, well, I didn't really know the sales manager. I mean, I'm working service.
And he was pretty new at the time too.
Yeah, I think so. I think he had started just before me. So I'm like, I'll send him an email, because I didn't know how to just walk into his office and go, "Hey man, I'm here for a job."
I know I'm 20 feet away from you, but
Yeah.
send an email.
Yeah.
So I sent him an email, and it's just like, see what happens. So a few days go by, and I'm like, I don't get a reply, and I'm thinking, man, this ain't happening. It's like he probably just laughed it off, or who knows, And then, so carry on. I'm doing my job, and then all of a sudden one day I'm walking down the hallway or something, and he passes me by, and he stops me. He goes, "Hey, just want to let you know, I got your email, and I'm working on something. I didn't forget about you." I was like, "Oh, okay." So of course I got all excited. I went home and was telling my wife. Of course I'd been telling my wife everything, and she was all excited.
She proofread your email and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, and then he put together a meeting, and I met with him and Ty, and we sat down, and it was a good meeting. Ty basically told me, he says, he goes, "I think you can do it." He goes, "It's not easy making that transition. Guys can't always do that from being on the service side of things and then moving into sales. Maybe it's a different mindset." But he goes, we had some, other plans for you too. You actually have a few options, but if you want to do this, he goes, "I think you can do it, and give it a try, and if it doesn't work out for any reason, we can do plan B."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, shoot, I got nothing to lose here, right?
Yeah.
So, and I felt pretty good about it. I mean, not like overconfident, but I've been doing kind of sales, customer service, technical support most of my life in some avenue or another, whether it been, automotive, motorsports, motorcycles, etc. So I just thought, yeah, we're gonna give this a good shot and try it out. And it's a little scary at first because things change, and all of a sudden it's not the steady paycheck, the hourly rate that you're getting paid.
Yeah, summertime when there's a constant flow of people.
Yeah,
this is great.
Yeah, and I don't have a book of business per se.
Right.
I mean, I'm starting out all new, so it's just like I don't really have anybody to call on. It's just like I'm, waiting for people to walk through the door or get an internet lead or something.
Thanks, Rod. We're going to stop you right there for a brief word from our sponsors, Beaver Coach Sales and Service.
Otherwise known as us.
Yes.
We have a wonderful selection of inventory for you this year, and we are very excited to show you products like this, the 2021 Tiffin Zephyr.
How about that 2021 Cornerstone?
How about that 2021 Van Lee Beacon?
How about that 2021 Thor Omni?
How about that 2021 Forest River Salem?
How about that 2021 Tiffin Red?
We've got it all. Come on down to Beaver Coach Sales or visit us at our website, beavercoachsales.com, to see everything we have in inventory.
We'll see you soon. Now, back to our conversation with Rod. And you did a good job with that transition. No, it didn't take long for you to start. And I start, generating some sales. And part of it, what I love about this culture, none of us has had any RV sales experience before working here. Right. And this is an environment where if you take care of the customer, you answer their questions well, you really have that spirit and that heart of helping them buy an RV instead of selling them something, then it leads to a sale. And it would be a lot harder if you worked at a store where it's just, they come in that day and you find something and you just shove them in an RV and send them down the road.
You have a quota. You gotta get all the different tactics that a lot of dealers use. It's
right.
We're different kind of sales department,
which makes you such a good fit for it.
Exactly. Which brings us back to the question about like service. Like, so when you're dealing with a customer that walks through the door, what does that look like having a service background? Like for us, for instance, we never worked in service beforehand. So you have a unique perspective where you can talk to somebody about, especially like a used coach or a coach that, is different. You're not selling out of a brochure, what that coach has that makes it different. Like what have you found, customers ask you or you've been able to help? Because I can think of a few different stories, but I want to hear your take on like how that's helped you in sales.
Yeah. The first thing that really breaks the ice when we start a conversation, when I'm meeting someone new, at some point I'll mention that, hey, I used to work in service, where my background's in service. And I think that kind of puts them a little bit at ease because they go, oh, okay, this guy's just not a sales guy, because everybody's got their misconceptions of a sales guy. They're scared of us usually. Like, oh no, I don't have to talk to that guy. We just want to look. Yeah. And so that, I think that immediately puts their mind at ease. And a lot of times it's like, oh man, that's awesome, I got some questions for you, and they start firing. Now all of a sudden they're interviewing me. It's definitely helpful, especially when you get, like, recently I had a situation. These folks coming in, never been here before, never owned an RV before, so it's all new. And I really love those because it's like, I go, hey, it's RV 101 time.
Yeah,
we're gonna have some fun, folks.
Yeah.
And we're gonna learn a lot. And they love it. I mean, these folks, I go into the whole thing about, it's because it's not just, hey, here's this RV. Like these folks came in, they didn't know if they wanted gas, diesel. They thought they wanted to stay a certain size length, but wasn't sure. So they really were just totally new. And I think it was really helpful because I was kind of bombarding them with information, but they're like, no, that's fine. Because I kept telling them, hey, if it's overload, let me know. And they're like, no, you're helping us out so much. We've been to some other places and we didn't get this. They were just like, show me 3 RVs, which one you want to buy, basically.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time with them, probably 3-4 hours the first time they were here. But I find it very helpful because it's, again, people, they're going to ask you a specific question about a feature of that RV, that, again, like you said, you're not just selling from the brochure, like, oh yeah, that's hold on, folks. And, and
it's got one of these.
Yeah.
Probably.
So I can explain it, and how it works, and why it works the way it works, or this is how you use it, so obviously we love to RV. We go out RVing all the time. And so I can give them practical knowledge, like this is why it works and how you need to use it and why you should use it that way. So I think all that helps.
Yeah.
So,
well, you brought up a good point there too, is you're not just a guy from service or a guy from sales. You're a consumer. Like you actually use the product that you sell, like actively, like all the time. Like it'll be a Friday Rod, you ready for the weekend? And boom, you're like Friday night hitting the road in your trailer, which is a whole nother, that's a whole nother awesome aspect, is you can come from a place of understanding where exactly what people are going through when they're out there, which is totally different. How have you learned, and do you have any stories that, like, from your own RV usage that has kind of helped you understand the industry and what people go through when they're buying a new RV?
Well, yeah, definitely. I know when we got our first travel trailer, we were super excited. I'm working around RVs every day, and it had been quite a few years. I think we bought our first travel trailer in 2015, and we were super excited, and we wanted something that we could take our dogs and go out, and basically, a family unit. So, and, like anybody, you go through those experiences, like you go to the RV park for the first time or the first few times and setting everything up and hooking everything up. And, you think you got a pretty good handle on it, because that's what I do at work and stuff. But then all of a sudden it's like you're in the real world, practical sense.
Right.
And there's some things, a funny story, not too long ago, actually, maybe about a year ago, we were camping locally here. And the area where I parked the trailer, it was pretty level, but then it started to kind of drop off. And so I'd set up the trailer and I was unhooking from the truck, and I'd gotten the wheel chocks in place, or so I thought.
Oh no.
and I get the tongue off of the hitch, the ball, and the trailer just rolls backward.
Oh no.
Blam! And it's a Friday night. It's almost dark.
Oh man.
And the guy next to me walks out like, and just kind of looks, and I know he's thinking
You're
like, oh,
must be new.
yeah, must be new. This guy's a newbie.
No,
And
I
it's
do
like,
it every
I'm
day.
totally not a newbie, but I just did a
That's
total
so
newbie
funny.
thing. And I'm like, man, how am I going to get this back on the truck? And I made it work. I had to pull the stinger out and hook it up first,
oh,
and then
no.
kind of wedge it back in. And I had to put ramps on the front wheels of the truck to get the angle up. And I made it work. I'm pretty good in those kind of situations when it's like
That's awesome.
where people might panic.
You're just
They're
like,
like, what do
"Son
I
of a
do?"
gun."
Yeah, I
imagine-
couldn't believe it. I was like,
what was
really?
Ruby thinking? Like,
Oh, she's out walking the dogs and like, you okay, honey? Is everything all right? And of course, I was, man, got it.
yeah, keep do another lap.
Yeah,
By the
yeah,
time
just
you
go
do it-
keep walking the dog.
I can only imagine the campfire conversation later with the guy. Like, hey, by the way, do you want to buy an RV?
Yeah. From me,
I'm an expert.
from this guy.
Oh man, that's
That's
too good.
awesome. I love it. Well, one thing on that, what I love about Rod too, that he definitely geeks out about these things like we do. Rod and I are sending videos back and forth to each other. We're just geeking out on generators the other day.
Oh my gosh,
Like
yeah.
Rod is an absolute. I can't believe our wives. Like, we got to drive them crazy where we talk about RVs all day long. Then we go home and watch hours of RV videos,
Yeah.
and we're sending them to our buddies at work and sending them
Totally.
generators,
Oh my
inverters,
gosh, yeah.
Mhm.
and stuff. We find something kind of technical that's cool about an RV, and we're sending it to each other.
This weekend, Rod and I are like, we got to build one. We need to build one. We got to do
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, yeah. We watched a video of a guy built a small little trailer to pull
Yeah.
behind his Jeep or something. I'm like, we can do that.
Yeah.
He's been
That's
wanting to get a
easy.
welder anyway,
It's
so
like,
I'm
we're
like,
gonna
perfect.
Eric, buy the welder.
Yeah.
Let's throw that thing together.
Just build an RV. Why not?
No, that's.
I'm always
that's
planning
fun.
my next like 2 or 3 RVs.
Oh yeah.
Like we're always going to do this 100%.
Yeah.
My wife and I mean, if she could get into one right now, if we could be in it full time now and still kind of do what we do and everything, we would.
Yeah.
And be able to travel some and that freedom. That's our ultimate goal for sure.
Definitely.
One thing I've learned, this is a big takeaway. So been doing this 11 years, I guess. The big takeaway from everybody I've encountered that's either a full-timer or part full-time, they all tell me the same thing. Do it when you can. You don't know what life's going to throw at you. So if you want to do this lifestyle, do it when you can. Don't wait, if it's possible.
It's good advice.
That is. That is. Well, Eric, you want to transition to our lightning round?
The lightning round. Let's do it. We are going to start with just a couple questions that we try to ask everybody that's like kind of similar, short, you can answer as short as you want or however you want to answer. But we'll start with number one question. What is the biggest challenge facing the RV industry right now?
Right now with everything that's going on, 100% would be the demand. The demand is high. Good for us. Manufacturing, there's a lot of issues with manufacturing right now. Supply chain issues, I think, is a big one. Cost of materials, we're starting to see price increases, like more, above average price increases, above the normal annual every year, and just getting good inventory, period. I think, dealers across the country are all in the same boat. I think right now we have more buyers than we have the right RVs for them. Guess it's a good problem to have, but it's kind of can be a double-edged sword.
Right.
Makes sense.
So that's definitely, and I think the demand's going to keep. It's going to keep going. It's not going away yet.
That's the thing is there's been a lot of talk where people are saying, it's going to go down. It hasn't. I don't know if it does. It's not going to be right now. It's going to be a while.
No, I mean this time of the year, it's usually pretty quiet around here. It could be crickets.
Yeah.
And we're still staying fairly busy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting a lot of internet traffic and phone calls, and some people are walking in. The weather's still good. So
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
good.
totally. We've been very lucky with that.
So, Rod, if you can hop in an RV on Friday, which I'm sure you're probably doing anyway, what's the top 3 spots you can just pick up and just go? Where's your go-to camping spots?
So, living here in Central Oregon, we're truly blessed. I mean, I wake up every day and I think about that. Like, wow, man, we get to live here and work and play. There's so much to do around here. Within an hour, you can be just about anywhere cool. You could be up in the mountains and the pines. You could be out in the desert and the junipers. My couple of my favorite go-tos were, if you just want a quick weekend, easy, we go up to the Metolius River, Camp Sherman area. Anywhere around there is awesome. There's a lot of options. If you want to make it a little longer weekend, I love to go over to the coast. This is the furthest I've ever lived away from the ocean. I mean, I've always been within 20, 30 minutes of the beach my whole life. So we yearn for getting over to the coast and getting near that ocean whenever we can.
Yeah.
Another favorite that we discovered recently, out east, you go to the hot springs.
Oh, yeah.
Out by Burns. It's Crane Prairie, it's called. And that place is amazing. It's a great facility. They got tons of room for camping. And so those are definitely hot buttons for sure. Paulina, up at Paulina Lake's another good favorite.
Yeah.
So
we are spoiled. We got a lot of cool stuff.
Oh man, it's
right here.
It's unlimited, and we're still exploring. I mean, we try to go new places every year. We have our favorites, of course.
Yeah.
But we're always trying to hit new places and expand. And man, Idaho's next door, and we haven't really even ventured out there yet.
That's a whole new world.
And that we're looking forward to doing that in the near future, is getting out there even more, just expanding.
That's awesome. So, where do you see the future of the RV industry going?
I think we're already seeing it. I mean, the technical side of this, the electronics, we're already starting to see that, and I think it's just going to continue. Safety features, more active safety features, collision mitigation, things like that. It's already starting to happen, and I think it's going to continue. I mean, let's face it, it's a box on wheels kind of, and you can only make so many floor plans, and certain floor plans work and stuff. So definitely more on the technical side. And I'm sure down the road we'll see electric powered or some type of a hybrid maybe powered. We're seeing more all electric coaches already. I even saw a small towable recently that's all electric.
Wow.
Little small like 18-foot travel trailer, and a total reasonable price point. So definitely think that's where it's heading. It's just going to get more technical and which will be good.
Send me a YouTube video on that travel trailer.
Okay.
Oh, he was just in my office here. He's like, dude, you got to see this.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. All electric, induction cooking, everything. It had a fireplace. The fireplace was the heater, basically.
You can tell when Rod has a lot of sales on the books because he comes into your office. Hey, check this out.
Dude, you're never going to believe
this.
Wait, speaking of, so I'm going to add a question because I want you to talk about this because it's been so cool. We've been talking the last couple of days.
Go for it.
So you have owned a bunch of different trailers, and I always tease you because like one time he's like, oh man, there's this really cool trailer I want to get. It's a pop-up tent trailer. He's like, we're thinking about it. And I'm like, you're thinking about it. And then like the next day he's like, yeah, I bought it. So speaking of, because I've been teasing you about this one, what is the new setup you and Ruby are kind of considering? Because this is pretty cool and it's pretty unique.
So we've since we've been RVing, we love going, to parks and nice, beautiful places, but now we're definitely more into getting out, more like overlanding, which of course right now is real popular, but just being able to get out off the beaten path, not necessarily being an RV park, being on a concrete pad plugged into everything. So my current setup works well. It's a great travel trailer. It's good for getting out and being off grid. It's got big capacities, etc. Solar. It's got high ground clearance. But we were thinking, how can we have a smaller footprint? And so truck campers have kind of been on my radar. And, because now you can tow something behind that. We have motorcycles. We like to do that too. So, we have more options, and it's just a smaller footprint. You can just hop in and go. You don't have to hook up a big trailer and drag a trailer through off-road situations and things. So considering that, and then of course, trying to figure out the best all-around truck that would do the job. There's a lot of different trucks on the market, but this whole gross vehicle weight rating and carrying capacities really comes into play, and you got to be careful you don't overload it and all that. So just been trying to figure that out, and I've kind of come across a kind of a cool plan where a dually truck obviously is the most capable as far as carrying capacity, towing capacities, but dualies don't always work well in the winter and the snowy conditions. They don't work well off-road with the skinny tires. So I discovered that there are companies that do single rear wheel conversions for dualies.
Oh, yeah.
So now you have a single rear wheel in the back, obviously bigger, wider, and an off-road type tire. So now you have something that's off-road capable, but still has all the carrying capacity and the towing capacity and all the power you need.
That's
So
lit.
that's kind of the rabbit hole I'm going down now.
Yeah.
Planning my future truck someday and what I would do to it. And I don't know, when I get on something like that, it's like, I got to figure it out. Even if it ain't going to happen for a long time, I just want the plan,
He says
put
that
it
now.
out there.
Says that 1 year later.
Yeah, it's so cool. He's showing me too. It looks like if you could take a Ford Raptor and make it like an F450 version of a Ford Raptor. I mean, they're sweet, and it's a company in Central Oregon.
local company here in Central Oregon that's doing it.
Yeah,
So
That's convenient.
Yeah,
Super
so
cool.
that's super awesome.
We have
So-
all the good stuff here. Nobody move here.
Yeah,
Stop
stop moving here.
So it's kind of like you can. It's kind of like you can, if you're familiar with Earth Roamer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like building your own Earth Roamer on a budget, big time,
Yeah.
for a fraction of the cost.
Not $1.2 million for an
Yeah.
earth roamer.
Yeah.
No, it is sweet. That's I've been excited to just hear about it.
Yeah,
one
it's
day.
fun. I love researching.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome. Well, I think that about wraps it up for today's episode. This has been Rod LeMond, one of our favorite sales guys. Don't tell the others.
The others aren't watching this anyway, so you're fine.
I said one of. So anyway, no, this has been a blast, man. Thank you so much for coming and
so-
telling us about it.
Rod, how can people get a hold of you?
So obviously you can call me here at the store. You can call my direct line at 714-260-8262. That's my cell phone. You can also email me at rod@beavercoachsales.com. And come on down and, call me, visit, come on in, and I'll help you find your next RV and the right RV. That's the important thing here is, finding the right RV that suits your needs, not just trying to sell you something.
Totally.
So
Very
Try to
cool.
stump him. You can't do it. I've tried.
Well, hope you guys enjoy the show with Rod LeMond, and we'll see you in the sales meeting in 10 minutes.
awesome. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
You bet, man.
This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Awesome.
Eric, you know where I'm happiest?
When you're camping.
When I'm camping.
I know you.
Wow. And we want you to be happy too. You have been working hard, and it's time you take a break in spring. There's a name for that.
Spring break.
Yeah, that's it.
I know. Yeah.
Spring break. So this year, instead of going to Cabo, Cancun, or anywhere else in Florida, get in an RV and go camping.
HappyCampersRVRentals.com. Book your rental today because they're going fast. We will see you down the road.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to another episode of the Real Estate Show. Eric, how much fun was that?
That was a lot of fun.
Holy
That was a lot of fun.
smokes.
We're spoiled. We get to do that every day.
I know.
Rod's just.
Whether we like it or not, Rod comes right into our office.
I love it. I love it.
Dude, check this
Dude,
out.
check this out. Every time.
Every time I can, I'm like, gosh dang it, I'm in.
I know.
Show me.
I know.
Show me this 5-minute video.
Because of that, man, I've spent more money on ridiculous off-roading gear and
Yes.
equipment. It's hilarious.
Here's what's great about Rod too. If you show him something that's cool at a reasonably priced, you can see the value in it. He adds it to his.
He's
cart
like,
the
yeah, I
next
gotta
day.
get that. Oh man, it's
That's
so great.
It's kind of fun to get him to buy stuff because salesmen are the easiest
We're the
people
easiest
to sell
sells.
something to.
Yeah.
Like, I can see the value.
Yeah.
Son of a
It's
gun,
awesome.
I'm in.
It's a
He
blast.
swindled me on a generator.
Oh, I know. You guys got the
"Ah,
same generator. That
I
was
know."
hilarious.
He's like, dude, check this out. This generator, $9K for
Yeah.
$750. He's
Oh my
like, 2
gosh, it's
stock.
awesome.
What are you thinking? Tell me my butt wasn't driving down to Harbor Freight yesterday.
Yesterday, you come back to the store with a
showed
generator in your truck.
Rod was so
Pretty
proud.
funny. I love it.
Anyway,
It's so fun. But anyway,
a lot more of that to come.
Yep.
We're gonna have him back on the show.
absolutely.
Cool guy.
Thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Tune in to our next podcast, and we will see you down the road.